Good morning, and thank you for joining us here today. It's a very important news conference that we're having. Obviously, this is the news conference a few days past the March 21st incident at Young Park. Before we get started, I'd like to again remind everybody to please silence their cell phones and any other devices they may have. And also keep in mind that the investigation into this incident is still ongoing. So there are some questions that Chief may not be able to answer. But standing up here, we have several individuals, a couple of speakers. Chief and the mayor will be speaking. But standing up here, of course, Chief, Mayor Eric Enriquez, Fire Chief Michael Daniels, from the FBI, Jacob Van Brandwyk, from ATF, Rick Shumaleski, from the DEA, Jerry Smith. I believe a representative from the DA's office will be here at some point. Deputy Chief Sean Mullen, Deputy Chief Eric Urenda, Investigations Lieutenant Peter Bradley, City Manager Ikani Tomo Payao, and Ry Ellison from the U.S. Attorney's Office. Any one of these individuals, if they are the subject expert for the questions posed, will be able to answer your questions. But for now, I'm going to pass it over to Mayor Eric Enriquez.
Thank you, Dan. Well, good morning. Thank you for being here today. We gather here today to address the tragic incident that occurred Friday, March 21st at Young Park, where we lost 3 precious lives to senseless violence. Our hearts are heavy with sorrow for the families and friends affected by this devastating event, and we extend our deepest condolences during this very difficult time. I want to thank the Office of Emergency Management along with the City of Las Cruces for partnering up and setting up relief and care for those involved in the incident. They, along with community partners and faith-based organizations, are available at the Convention Center until 6 p.m. today. I want to express my gratitude to the Las Cruces Police Department and the federal agencies for their swift action and diligence in responding to the situation. Their professionalism and commitment to public safety have led to the arrest of 4 individuals connected with this crime. We're thankful for their tireless effort, which are crucial in ensuring justice and justice to be served. Let me be clear. This incident will not be tolerated in our community. We stand united against violence in all its forms. We are committed to a thorough and transparent investigation, and we will work to ensure that those responsible are held accountable for their actions. The safety and well-being of our community is a top priority, and we will continue to do everything in our power to make sure that this happens. And to do that, we will do it by providing the funding and resources the Las Cruces Police Department needs, and we will do that on the local end. We will work with the governor and our state legislators for changes in our laws and policies to make sure that our city is safe. We are committed to that. We are committed to the safety of our community. Thank you.
And before I ask Chief to come up here, one other thing that's kind of important to know, the Community Foundation of Southern New Mexico has established a fundraising initiative to help victims of this event and their families. So if you would, please visit the Las Cruces Crisis Action Fund on the web. And with that, we'll pass it over to Chief Jeremy Starry.
Good morning. Thank you to everyone who's here today. I just want to start by saying the District Attorney's Office is not here because they're at District Court for a dangerousness hearing for the 3 juveniles involved to ensure that they're held. And they likely, or they could be here during it and stand up here with the rest of them. We worked hand in hand with our office to bring these 4 people to justice. My goal today is to paint the best picture I can about what happened on that horrific day last week, on Friday, March 21st. That being said, this one, more than probably any presentation I've done, the information, images, audio, the videos contained are going to be disturbing. I suspect there's family members and loved ones here, and you guys absolutely deserve to be here. But this stuff hits all of us hard, so I can only imagine how it affects you guys, and just ask that viewer discretion is strongly advised. The details of the call. And one thing I do want to say up front too, this is not a traditional active shooter event where the motive or the motivation is to kill and injure as many people as you can, as quickly as you can. Unfortunately, the results were the same. On March 21st, 2025 at approximately 10:10 p.m., we began receiving calls for gunshot victims at Young Park. There was a car meetup at the park prior to the shooting. While a large crowd was watching the exhibition driving, a dispute developed towards the southwest portion of the parking lot. The dispute was between two groups of people who have had personal issues in the past. The argument escalated into gunfire and multiple people began firing handguns. Some of the intended targets were struck, along with several uninvolved bystanders that had nothing to do with the dispute. Recap of the victim information: 18 total people were injured, 3 people were killed, 2 were pronounced on scene, 1 was transported and later pronounced at a hospital. Our victims are Andrew Madrid, 16, Jason Gomez, 17, and Dominic Estrada, 19. 15 additional people were wounded and treated at various hospitals throughout the area, and their ages range from 16 to 36. The next video I'm going to show you is a cell phone video that's been circulating on social media. This is the original video. It's a little bit clearer, but it's kind of hard to see what's going on, so I'm trying to give you a frame of reference. This is the parking lot of Young Park. The blue circle is where you're going to see the blue Mustang doing donuts. That's what everybody's watching. The yellow circle is where most of the shell casings were recovered after the incident. The red circle is where our suspects were seen standing together just prior to the shooting, and their vehicle is parked where that orange circle is, all the way up against the curb. It's a red Mercedes, and you'll see 3 of the 4 suspects flee to that vehicle after the shooting and leave. Again, this is a video that was taken recording the blue Mustang. If you look kind of in this frame towards the top right is where the shooting happens. All the way straight ahead is where the suspect vehicle is parked.
Hey, 3 people are liable to get blasted right now. Yeah, sucker. You guys like that shit? My heart's like racing. I don't even... Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh my God, I just witnessed a murder. Everybody roll out. Oh my God. Huh.
To his credit, that bystander put his phone in his pocket and began administering aid. I'm going to play for you guys some of the 911 calls. There's almost an hour of audio for 911 calls. I'm obviously not going to play all that. Some of the original calls, along with some of the other calls that, again, paint the best picture I can of what people were experiencing on scene.
Young Park, people got shot. Young Park, Young Park.
Young Park? Okay.
Young
Somebody
Park,
got
shoot out
shot?
of Young Park.
Listen to me. Someone was shot, you said, correct?
Yes, there's a shootout.
Okay.
Well,
Are you sure someone was shot, or did you just hear gunshots?
yeah, I'm sure I'm not stupid.
Who was shot?
There's multiple gunshots. There's a car meet where people got shot. There's a shooter at Young Park.
How many people are hurt?
I don't know. It looks like multiple. I can't tell. Everyone's leaving. I'm already left the scene.
Okay.
I got out of there.
Stay on the phone with me. Hold on just a second. Do you have any descriptions of anybody involved?
No, it looks like someone in the jacket. I'm pretty sure someone died.
Okay.
Hello?
Where?
He's not
Hello?
breathing.
This is 911.
We're administering CPR. There's another one. There's another gunshot wound to the back. Is it one to the head? One to the... There's a girl that's shot in the neck as well.
Okay, so there's a girl that's shot in the neck. That's what you're telling me, right?
Yes, there's a girl that's shot in the neck. There's another man that is shot in the back. They're holding pressure to him. There's one that's shot in the head, but he's still breathing. And there's one that's shot in the arm.
So
and the
it's
head
two
as
males
well.
and one female that were shot, correct?
Yes, 3 males and
Okay.
1 female.
3 males?
1, 2, 3, 4. 4 males and 1 female, yes.
So there's 4 males that were shot and 1 female. That's what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. Hello, this is 911. How can I help you?
Hello, we need an ambulance in the park.
Where? What park?
Young Park.
Okay. What is your
We need
name?
like 2 ambulances because we heard there's gunshots here, so we just need some ambulance over here real quick.
Okay. Was anybody shot?
Yes, 3 people.
3 people?
Yes, 3 people.
Okay. Are you close to them?
No, there's 2 over there, and there's 1 laying down.
Okay. Okay. Are you
One
okay? Are you able to help them control the bleeding, sir? Can you check on them?
I don't know. Let me go check.
I'm sorry?
Let me go check to the person over here.
Okay. We have units on the way, sir.
All right.
Thank you. 911 emergency. What?
So there's been a shooting
At Young Park?
In Young Park. Yes.
Okay. Are you involved?
No, I
Are
wasn't.
you with any of the people that were shot?
No, ma'am.
You're not with them? Okay. Did you see them?
I just heard it. I just heard the
You
shooting.
just heard it? Okay. Are you still
Yes,
there?
I heard it. Yes, I'm still here.
You're still there at the park?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, but you don't have a visual of anyone that was shot or the suspects?
Yes, I saw the person, the guy shot.
Okay, the person that got shot, I need a description.
I didn't want to get closer. I just know he was wearing jeans and black shoes.
Jeans
The
and white
police is here.
shoes?
Black shoes. The police is here.
Okay, I'll let you go. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye. 911. We got to get it tight. Hello? Yes. Are you calling about the gunshot victim at the park?
No, we're at the Taco Bell right next door, and there's 2 little girls.
That last call was from the Taco Bell where 2 additional victims showed up. The next thing I'm going to play for you guys is some of the police radio traffic. And again, it's important to know that the way this is recorded for time's sake is that when one transmission ends, the next one begins immediately, but that's not how it occurred that night. There's some amount of space in between the transmissions.
The gunshot victim?
143.
1905 Nevada Avenue, 1905 Nevada Avenue break. They have multiple callers calling in about a gunshot victim. They're advising there's 3 gunshot victims, 1 to the head, 1 to the leg. They're advising they went towards Lynn. They were running. We're still gathering.
934.
Affirmative. I have one of the callers. He's currently advising there's 3 GSVs and there was 3 shooters. They were last seen running on Lynn, 777, by the Lynn area. I'm still trying to get...
1130 Central en route to the GSV. 9446. Any traffic?
777.
Sorry about that. ATL, where are the victims at?
We're still gathering on where the victims are at.
Sure. Just for now, there's probably over 100 cars in the parking lot.
Copy 100 cars in the parking lot.
9446. 1130 Central. What was the description of the vehicle headed north on Walnut? 96 Central. Time is in the parking lot.
Copy on the south side of the parking lot.
768 Central. I'm en route to the GSV. 719 Central. Coming up 97 to Nevada.
Copy 792.
1130 Central. Same traffic.
10-4.
And 1143.
944 is front unit. 49, there's multiple GSVs. They're advising the center of the parking lot and some towards the playground.
768 Central. 10-3 the channel for them?
Does anyone have a bigger med pack?
Yeah, we'll bring one.
Sarge, do you have a
1143 Central, we have multiple gunshot victims.
Copy, multiple gunshot victim.
969 Central, start alerting area hospitals. 1141 Central, close units to 10, no report. Show us around to the GSVs.
10-4.
1143 Central, I have 2 victims with gunshots to the head. 944 Central, I have 1 GSV to the head. The 1143 is in the middle of the park. Or the battle. 935 Central, I have a female to GSV to the neck.
Copy, GSV to the neck.
768, to any units that are not on scene, I need a perimeter set up. I need Lowman and Walnut shut down, both north and south, and then I need a perimeter around Youngs Park. 945 is at Walnut, Nevada. 768 Central. Will you advise fire of that 49 on multiple victims?
1124 Central. Put me on the GSV and I'm in row.
10-4.
777 GSV to the back. You log in chest to applied.
Copy, chest fuel applied at 2215.
Start getting all these vehicles out and get them northbound. 935 Central. Pressure dressing applied to the neck.
Okay, applying pressure to the neck.
Negative. Pressure dressing applied to the neck.
Okay, pressure dressing.
818 Central. I have one plank tourniquet to a leg, multiple GSVs to the leg and one to the arm.
1130 Central. I got 1 gunshot victim to the head.
There's one in the head.
We have any witnesses anywhere? Affirm. All right, start getting me suspect description and direction of travel. Fire's on scene, so stay off the radio with medical information. 944 638.
For 49, we have 2 GSVs at Mountain View as well.
Careful. If we can get a unit to head up there, I'm at a traffic point on Walnut right now. We can reach out to Dassel Central and have one of their units go stand by until we can get someone out there. And she said Mountain View. The GSV that I have in the center of the parking lot, he does have a 1080 on him. Any other victims? 1119 Central. Right now, possible suspects are the Rivases, unknown description, unknown vehicles.
Copy.
8049 and multiple more GSVs in the Taco Bell.
And more at the Taco Bell.
Copy, more at the Taco Bell. Last unit on.
Central, have you notified other agencies, please? 1114. 1141 Central, 970 Taco Bell.
1114, go.
So on 10-8, around to the traffic to the break. 1137 Central, same traffic.
Copy.
I have a male 1012 rider with me.
744 Central, 97 on Nevada.
100 all units. There's a male on Colorado wearing blue Memphis Grizzly jersey and has a 1080 on him.
Fire 55, there's 2 additional ones at the Taco Bell on Walnut. They are non-critical. Each has a GSV as a lower cast. I'll be with you.
747, no, there's a lot of traffic. We just got a caller advising there's 5 to 6 gunshot victims also at MMC that just came in.
777, can you go 3? Direct. Any units available? We got 5 to 6 GSV.
I'm going to show 3 very small clips from the body camera. This is a very difficult balance. Obviously, we want to respect not only the victims, but their families. They're going to be heavily redacted. But just to, again, show what it was like on scene for the people that were involved, as well as the responding officers and the firefighters.
Where's he shot? He shot on his arm and I think his leg. Who has this one? Okay, I'm gonna put a tourniquet on you, okay? Is he shot down there too? Yeah. All right, lay flat for me. Lay down, lay on your back, lay on your back.
Pressure dressing applied to the neck. Pressure dressing.
Central, I have one plank tourniquet to a leg, multiple GSVs to the leg and one of the arm. You can't breathe. Okay, are you okay? Just deep breaths for me, okay? I gotta stop this bleeding.
This is one of our officers responding to help a canine officer treat a female with a gunshot wound to the neck.
hands out. Hold my head. Hold her hair right here. I got more. I got you. All right, back up, back up, back up, back up. Where my hands at? Where my hands at? Where my hands at? Got it. Hand up, okay? Keep your hand up. Keep your hand. Keep your hand up. You're gonna be okay. I need you to calm down, okay? Okay? Breathe. 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 Oh, fuck! You're okay. Pressure dressing applied to the.
This last video illustrates at the same time officers are providing care and treatment, they're trying to set up the perimeter, they're trying to get witness statement and put out suspect information. We're getting calls for armed people running in the neighborhoods, and this one's off Colorado.
Hey, direct, Sergeant. Huh? A male on Colorado with 1080. Can you go? Yes. Since I'm running that way on foot. Description one more time.
There's several different videos that have been submitted or recovered on scene that show the suspect's location standing together just prior to the shooting. This is one of those. This is another one that shows the suspects together just prior to the shooting. The scene after the fact, depending on what you're looking on right now, it's maybe hard to see, but there's yellow markers. Those yellow markers are for either shell casings or firearms accessories that are recovered on scene. The vast majority are firearms casings. I think we gave an estimate of 50 to 60 in the first news conference. So right now, the number that we have that have been entered is 59 shell casings. And those are a combination of 40, 45, and 9mm. Our 4 suspects have been charged with murder, 3 counts. The only adult is Tomas Rivas, 20 years old, 2 17-year-old males, and 1 15-year-old male. Our detectives, along with our federal partners and state partners, moved extremely fast. All 4 of them were located within 38 hours. The first 2 were in custody within 24 hours. Talk about the weapons that were recovered. We believe we have recovered all 4 firearms that were involved with this group from the people we've arrested. Obviously, those will be tested and compared to the casings to confirm that. This one was located in a yard where we believe one of the subjects, the only one that did not get in the vehicle initially, fled. We also located several firearms in a house. Those firearms were brought after the shooting. Our agents actually observed 2 of the suspects go to this house with some bulky items, put them, stash them on that property. After search warrants, we were able to recover firearms, ammunition, magazines, and clothing, both inside the house and in a trash bin outside the house, connected to this incident. This is a .45 caliber handgun Glock. This is a 9mm Glock that was recovered. Summary of criminal history. Obviously, 3 of them are juveniles, but there's a history for all 4 of them. 3 of them especially that have had multiple incidents together. Tomas Rivas has been involved in shopliftings and possession of controlled substance early on. He's been a suspect in batteries, domestic batteries, and aggravated assaults. He was charged by Texas DPS with smuggling. That case is pending. He actually had a court appearance the day of the shooting in El Paso. The juveniles have a combination of a bunch of different things, some of it together. They've been suspects or charged in aggravated burglaries, vandalism, sexual assault, possession of controlled substance, public affrays or fights, robbery, and several aggravated assaults, especially recently. Evidence from this case also confirms that at least one of them was attempting to sell firearms through social media just prior to this event. 3 of the 4 suspects have been involved in multiple cases together, especially the aggravated assaults. And by aggravated assault, primarily that means pointing guns at people. I mentioned this during the first news conference, just kind of the atmosphere that exists at these car meets. And that's not to suggest that everyone that's there is a criminal, but there's a lot of stuff that's happening at these car meets that is extremely dangerous and irresponsible. Guns are involved where they're just out, they're used for different purposes, and no one bats an eye when they see this. So I'm going to give you a couple examples. This is from before the shooting actually happened, of guns just being present at the car meet. You'll see in the right-hand corner, somebody's an AR-style rifle here in a second, using the laser on the car. This circulated, obviously, all over the place. Two subjects holding the same rifle at different points. They were not, based on all available evidence, were not involved in the shooting. And so the question was, why do they have the rifle out like that? Well, this is the videos of what they're doing with the rifle at this event. Same rifle, just different person, using the light basically to help with the video effects. I'm going to play some video clips from a 2023 car meet that we had to disperse. And just this, I mentioned this earlier, this has been a problem for police departments across the country, and they're very difficult to deal with because of the number of people and some of the behaviors that happen when you have that many people together doing the things that they're doing. Again, this is in May of 2023 at Young Park at a car meetup. This first clip is just a few seconds to kind of show the overall atmosphere. On this call, we had 15 officers on it, basically from 2 shifts, to try to deal with this, and there's still chaos and things that happen. What you're going to see in the first few seconds of this video is a full bottle of beer is thrown at this unit and breaks right at the corner. Some of it gets into the vehicle, and then they apprehend the person that was involved in throwing it.
Who did that? You got me on your back. Someone else did it, bro.
While they're trying to deal with that, they get surrounded by people, and these are the officers responding to them being surrounded by people trying to deal with the first subject.
I don't know.
Back up.
Hey, what's your guys' number? Hey, what's your guys' number? Hey, what are y'all doing? Hey, let him go, let him go, let him go. Let him go. Let him go. Hey, I'm gonna need both of y'all's badge numbers. I need your badge numbers.
Yeah. I'm gonna take him out. That dude pushed him, so that's why we're saying.
No, you gotta push. I need your badge numbers. I need your badge numbers. Good?
Hey, it's in the back. Huh? It's in the back right there. Take it out. What happened? He threw a rock at him. At his window. No, look back.
I want to mention a few things before we go to questions. There is a potential for additional people to be charged with crimes related to this event, either through state courts or federal charges. I also urge anyone with information or that was a witness or has information to contact us and speak with a detective. There's a lot of information that's going around social media that is contrary to evidence or could be useful for us to have. However, those people have not reached out to us, and I'd ask that they do so. I also want to say that I'm incredibly proud of our officers and how they responded to this incident. The officers and supervisors who responded began immediately rendering aid. They provided aid to almost everybody on scene right away as soon as they got there. At the same time, they're still trying to manage the scene, gather information, and close off the perimeter. They managed one of the most chaotic scenes law enforcement can contend with, and they did it with poise and professionalism. My detectives and crime scene personnel, they managed to process this massive scene with help from state police, the FBI, and ATF. They're able to track down those individuals responsible and get them into custody without incident extremely quickly. The cooperation between LCPD, FBI, ATF, DEA, the District Attorney's Office, the U.S. Attorney's Office, and our other state and local law enforcement partners is praiseworthy. Everybody came together to deal with this tragedy. I do want to clarify one thing I said at the last news conference. When I said that people have a blatant regard or disregard for the rule of law in New Mexico, I'm talking about those who engage in criminal behavior, and they victimize the people in our communities throughout the state. Most New Mexicans, almost all New Mexicans, are law-abiding citizens who are trying to live their lives in a state that is #1 for crime. Most of that crime is committed by a relatively small number of people. But those people blatantly disregard the rule of law, and they have very little fear of consequences because they have learned that there will likely not be any, especially our juveniles. This is not about politics, but it is about policy. Police chiefs from across the state and the New Mexico Association of Chiefs of Police have been screaming from the rooftops about a very serious juvenile violent crime problem that we have in New Mexico. We have given example after example after example of brutal acts committed by kids. Most of the time, those kids have a history of violence, like in this case. This is not just a Las Cruces or Albuquerque problem. It is a problem in places like Portales, Alamogordo, and Farmington. It is a problem throughout New Mexico. I testified about juvenile gun crime to the Courts, Corrections, and Justice Interim Committee in October of last year. DAs across New Mexico, like District Attorney Bregman and Bernalillo, have been sounding the alarm on juvenile crime. Yet nothing meaningful was accomplished at our last legislative session to address these dire concerns. But we have to come together to find solutions and ensure accountability for crime. That is the only option. And we're not talking about locking up every kid that makes a mistake. But we cannot be on the other end of the spectrum, where there are unlimited chances, even when they hurt people. That is clearly not working. Tragedies like this present us with two options for our community and our state. It could bring us together and become a catalyst for meaningful change, or it could tear us apart and further divide us. I hope we choose the former and not the latter. At this time, we will do questions again. There's still things either we do not know for sure or we can't answer. We will try to answer anything that we can, whoever the appropriate person is. And with that, we'll move to questions.
Okay, thank you, Chief. And actually, the first question we're going to have is from Monica with KOB up in Albuquerque. She sent this a while back. She asked two questions. One of them you already answered. Are there any other suspects? And I think you mentioned that the investigation is still ongoing. The second question she asked is there any fear of retaliation after this incident?
At this point, we don't have any credible threats of retaliation. What I would say, if anybody does have fears or information that there could be retaliation, we ask that you provide us that immediately. Provide that to us immediately.
Okay, if you have a question, please mention your name and your affiliation.
Algernon with the Albuquerque Journal. Chief, or maybe this is a question for the city, following this incident, are there any changes to public access to Young Park on some sort of temporary basis? And also, Chief, is there going to be a shift in greater policing of events and large gatherings of youth, car meets, and that sort of thing?
If I could answer the second part first, and then I'll ask the city manager to maybe address the first part. You know, it's not like we have not been addressing the issues at Young Park specifically or other high crime areas. And just to highlight some of the things that we've done, during our Operation Not in Vain, we included park patrol so that we went by every night before they closed and right after to make sure that nothing was going on and people were out of there. we had an agreement, or we have an agreement with the New Mexico Mounted Patrol, so they can do additional park patrol when they have time to supplement. We had our surveillance trailer placed there from about September of 23 till almost the end of last year to help supplement, but obviously we have a lot of high crime areas, and we have to prioritize those resources and shift them around. We have conducted previous car meet operations. I have drone footage from an operation we did in 2023 dealing with these car meets. We had gates installed just recently so that at 11 o'clock, 11 p.m., which was after this incident occurred, we can close off the park, and that happened recently because it's one of the ways that we can try to mitigate it proactively. The Real-Time Crime Center for Young Park, I mentioned that part of that is installing cameras at Young Park as well as other parks, and the purchase order is completed, but it's not like they're just sitting there and we're not installing them. The model isn't even available until May, and then they have to be installed by the manufacturer. So as soon as we can get them installed, they will be installed. And then, of course, our park ranger program, and we have the rangers that would graduate the academy are finishing up field training, which is a necessary part of their training, so that they can help address some of the issues we have in our parks.
Ikani Tomopeao, City Manager for Las Cruces. This is nothing's at this point when it comes to access to our parks. This is the time where our community and our youth need the park. So we're not changing any hours at this time, but we're going to make sure our community continues to be safe. Chief Story and police is going to continue to help us with that. Thank you.
Okay, over here.
Lauren Schultz with the Las Cruces Sun News. Have you been able to confirm the origin of the weapons that were used in this?
Yes, we know. So there's five weapons that were recovered, 4 handguns and a shotgun from essentially the 4 people, that group that we charged. 3 of those handguns are reported stolen, confirmed stolen. The other 2 are not entered, but that doesn't mean they're not stolen.
Morning, everyone. Heriberto Perez with KBI ABC7. Chief, you were talking about these unsanctioned car meets, right? And how this is an issue not only for you, but police departments across the country. What are you planning to do now? Work with more state and federal agencies to prevent things to escalate like they escalated last Friday? Thank you.
Well, we've been dealing with them, like I said, for years. I mean, February 7th is the last one I can find where we had one at Young Park, and our officers went and they dealt with it. They were there for about an hour and a half almost. And so we've been dealing with this, and you could see from the videos I provided, it takes a lot of resources to safely and effectively deal with it, and even then there's still problems. So going forward, we are going to address it, and we're going to continue to address it. If I have to do operations again, we're going to do operations, where we bring in resources and technology, and we're going to go after the people that organize them for any crimes that they do commit, and there will be basically a no-tolerance policy for anything that happens.
Good afternoon, Johnny Coker with KRWG Public Media. Chief Story, I wanted to ask, prior to the shooting Friday night at Young Park, were there any calls related, like 911 calls to the police as they related to the car meet as it was happening? And if so, if you have that information, do we know how many calls there were in relation, like I said, to the meetup?
I don't know exactly how many calls there were. There was in computer-aided dispatch, there was a call created for reckless driving at Young Park. And so that was in CAT. It was never dispatched. In the notes, it says no units available. And that's basically what I know right now. And I will have to dig deeper to the people working to see if they have any additional information.
In the back over here, Chief.
Good afternoon. Christian Andrade with KFOX 14 and CBS 4. And I just want to ask if y'all have any reason to believe that this shooting was gang-related and or premeditated? And if premeditated, then how?
I'm not going to address the premeditated side. I'll see if my CID lieutenant wants to. As far as gang-related, what I can say is that we don't have any direct connection and can name a gang. The behavior, obviously, and some of the stuff they were engaged in prior is consistent with gang activity or gang behavior, and that's the best I can tell you right now on that.
Other questions? That was her question, by the way.
So as far as the premeditation, sir, right now what we do know is that there was a history between these two families, or between these two groups, rather. As far as the exact motive or reasonings or whether it was premeditated, we're still investigating that specifically.
Hi, my name's Diana. I'm with KTSM. Now, back to these unsanctioned meets, has there been any talk about impounding vehicles involved and ticketing drivers?
Well, yes, there's caveats and nuance to that. In New Mexico, we can't just tow vehicles and impound them, even when they're committing traffic violations. So we have limited options, but we're going to use every option we have to try to deal with these and address them.
Yes.
Hey, Chief. My name is Kevin Palomino with Telemundo. Thank you so much for doing this. I had a question on teenagers' access to fire guns. I know you've mentioned that that's a problem in the past. What's being done to sort of resolve this issue?
Well, I would say first and foremost, it needs to come back to the families and the parents to try to help us prevent that. Most of these firearms are stolen, so they're obtaining them either by stealing them or they're selling them between each other to obtain them. Our street crimes unit has been extremely successful with pursuing federal charges on people who are using guns, especially for violent crime, stolen guns, Glock switches, things like that. And so several of those people have been charged and convicted just in the last year, several juveniles with gun-related crimes.
Okay, over here.
Jason with the Sun News. Chief Story, on Saturday you mentioned staffing and the Real-Time Crime Center as potential tools, maybe how this could have been helped. I was wondering if there's an update on both of those, and also there's a, you know, if a special session happens, are there any legislation, you mentioned the juvenile that law that didn't pass, are there any measures that you would support that you think realistically could be brought forward?
As far as staffing goes, just so I can clarify, the way it works is we have 3 shifts, and during swing shift hours, we had 11 officers out. 12 is optimal, 3 of those were on overtime, so it's not like we're drastically under what we normally operate. But it was a busy night, as it often is, and I think there's 142 calls for service in the time that they're the only shift on the streets. There's an overlap between graveyards and swing shift, and so fortunately this happened right after graveyards came out, so we had double the people essentially right before this happened. And so that's typical. As far as the special session, I obviously support legislation to address juvenile violent crime specifically, and then anything that can be done to help with recruitment and retention. And just to clarify as well, because facts are important, the city funds and has budgeted for 220 police officer positions. I have about 188 officers right now. And so it's not that I don't have the positions or even the money in the budget, it's I have a difficult time filling them because people want to be police officers less than they used to.
Chief, here's another question from KOB. Any more insight into the altercation between the 2 groups? In other words, what was the beef, if we know it?
So we have different statements. Several of them are corroborated, but I don't want to speculate for sure because we don't know exactly what it was. It could have been a combination of the things that we've been told by witnesses.
Chief Story, Leah Romero with Source New Mexico. Going back to the potential special session, can you be a little bit more specific in what you would like to see, bill-wise or legislative-wise?
I think District Attorney Bregman has spoke very eloquently on this. I believe it was House Bill 134 that I don't think it even made it out of the first committee. And that had a lot of changes that I think would address the issues that we're facing. And again, that's not about locking all kids away. The focus is still on rehabilitation and hopefully diversion. We shouldn't get to this point. We've already failed at this when this happens, right? When kids are doing this type of behavior. But I think that will address the kids who will not stop committing violent crimes.
Chief, we have another question from a reporter who's watching online. How many of the injured were from gunshot wounds versus fleeing the scene? Maybe Chief Michael Daniels might be able to answer that.
Mike Daniels, Fire Chief. As of right now, we believe, or what appears to be, all injuries were either a result of direct gunshot wounds or potential shrapnel. Naturally, the hospital, when they get to the hospitals, that's where they're more further evaluated. But we don't have any that we know that are specific to fleeing as of right now. Thank you.
Paul Schultz with ABC7. Chief Story, I believe, had mentioned previously there was an interim committee in connection to working on the issues with parks and that sort of thing. Could you tell us a little bit more about that committee and the work that was done, and perhaps the last time that the committee came together to speak on that sort of issue?
I can't speak to all of them. When they came here to Las Cruces in October of 2024, Chair Chandler was gracious enough to allow me to come and present and speak. And one of the main things I spoke on, probably the bulk of my time, was spent talking about juvenile violent crime and specifically gun crimes that our juveniles were committing. I presented a lot of just actual examples of videos and photos that are either posted from juveniles or obtained during search warrants. And I was just trying to really paint the picture so they had the facts to make decisions, good decisions.
Christian Andrade again, KFOX 14 and CBS 4. And is there any information that y'all could share about the SWAT activity near the Icebox on Saturday afternoon? Was that in relation to this shooting?
It was in relation. We were following up on leads for potential suspects. That person was not ultimately involved in this shooting.
Okay, let's go back here.
Sorry, I'm just Chief Story, Juan Corral with the Las Cruces Bulletin. The Alamogordo has had, or the Otero County Police, I should say as well, has worked with some of the car clubs out there to try and have these car meets during the day and have folks be able to still share that passion. Is that something you all have looked into possibly to make this a little bit less more crime related?
Yeah, I can't say that we have, but I don't think it's a bad idea. I mean, it's not that people who like cars or love cars are bad, or that's a bad hobby. It's when the behavior escalates and it gets dangerous. So if we find a way to do it where they're not breaking any laws, I'm all for that.
Chief Story, Johnny Coker with KRWG again, and this is also for some of the city officials behind you, Akani and Mayor Enriquez, but you can weigh in for sure because you spoke a little bit about diversion, investment into diversion away from getting the youth of Las Cruces, out of these types of situations that they find themselves at a car meet after dark. What types of conversations are happening at the citywide level in terms of, creating more opportunity for youth and opportunity for them to take part in things that are, I guess above board, so to speak?
Ikani Tamapiao, City Manager. We've had various discussions internally. Actually, this morning, meeting with my Assistant City Manager, met with city councilors as we're looking for solutions for intervention, for diversion. One of the things that we have discussed is we need more for our youth to do. We have a diversion program right now with the city. We assist with the PAL boxing gym. And we're looking at opportunities of what we can do to expand. One of the things that we have right now is a facility of our Amador Live facility that the city owns. One of those things right now is we had a business that left and we're looking to reprogram this. And one of the opportunities that we're looking at is making this a function for the community. What I've spoken with Mayor and with some councilors is as we talk with families and as we talk with adults, the most important group and demographic to talk with is the youth, and actually bringing them into the discussion, whether it's at Amador Live or whether it's here at a place that's neutral where they feel that they can be heard. That's the group that we're focusing on. And so in the upcoming weeks, we'll continue to meet with our teams, the counselors, with the mayor, and with our staff to see what we can do to create a safe space so the youth can be heard, so they can talk, and we can figure this out, because we won't find solutions as adults if we don't include the demographic that's important as a youth in this. Thank you.
Okay, over here.
Stephanie Cordova with Univision. The 4 people that have been arrested, do they belong to one group? And also, do we know if the other group that was involved in the altercation opened fire?
So the 4 that have been arrested are all part of the same group, meaning that they are friends, family, etc. The other side, I'm not going to definitively say they have fired. That is a possibility, and we're still investigating that, so I don't want to give too much before we know for sure.
Any other questions here? We have a couple over here. We only have time for maybe 2 or 3 more questions.
Albuquerque Journal again. Chief, on Sunday night during a vigil, there was a disturbance at about 8:30, 8:45. There was a report of a sort of 22 caliber casing kind of sitting around in the parking lot. Have there been other disturbances? What's the atmosphere been like at the park?
So in general, we respond, or we're at the park a lot, whether we proactively go there or responding to a call. And that's been true for a while, right? Just like other places in the city. That specific incident, I'm not aware of. I showed a video of juveniles shooting in the park during that CCJ interim committee presentation. And so we've been fighting that and dealing with it for a little bit.
Other questions? Yes.
KTSM, again, we have federal agents here. You mentioned that there is possibility of guns being sold at some of these meets. Is that why law enforcement from the federal level are here, and are they investigating, whether it's ATF or FBI, investigating these guns after the city charges may be happening?
So when I said they were selling guns, that was through social media, not necessarily I have no evidence that they were selling guns at the car meet, just say that. Yes, ATF has been very involved in investigating, tracing, and trying to understand what guns are involved, which ones were stolen, and then ultimately helping us connect which casings belong to which gun. But anything else on that?
Okay, a couple of more questions.
Kevin Palomino with Telemundo. Just a very quick question. You had mentioned that at the time there was a call, but no units were dispatched because none were available. Is the police department feeling overwhelmed with these car meets or just with violent crime in Cruces?
So with crime in general, again, the last car meet I have on a record of dispatch was February 7th. So it's not like they're happening every day. And historically, when it's cold, we don't get a lot of them. And then as it starts to warm up, we deal with it more and more into the summer. As far as overall dealing with crime, the officers, I'm sure, are tired and burned out. I said I had 3 on overtime that day. So it's been a lot. You know, we have a high call volume, and we've also had a high crime rate.
Miguel Perez again, KTSM, sir. Besides the 4 individuals that were charged or have been charged, were there any other citations, any other arrest tickets, anything related or unrelated on that day?
Not yet, but like I mentioned earlier, there still is the potential for additional charges related to the incident.
Okay, I think that's it. Chief, I know you want to join me in thanking ATF, FBI, U.S. Attorney's Office, Fire Department, our investigators, Mayor, and City management for being here. Chief, what else do you have to say?
No, that's it. I can't tell you how much I appreciate the cooperation. I mean, even DEA, who didn't have to be here, they sent several agents out, and they've been a partner in this just to make sure that we did a thorough investigation and got it done quickly. So thank you to all of our partners. Thank you to you guys for being here today.
And one last thing is this broadcast is live streamed on YouTube, the city's YouTube channel, and I believe it's also on our Facebook page, the police department's Facebook page, so you can pull a video from that and also review it again.